Hey guys, what's up? It's Lawrence here from J3D Tutorials, and today we're going to be looking at setting up IntelliJ to program with Android. We'll set up the Android SDK and the JDK. This is all you'll need to get started with basic Android programming, and anything else we need after this I'll go through that separately, but this should be good enough to get you going. Just a note, this course and the rest of the videos in the series will be aimed at the beginner programmer with a little bit of background programming knowledge, preferably some Java, but nothing too serious, and no experience is needed for developing mobile apps. I'll go through each topic separately and will be complete, so everything I do I will explain. Okay, without further ado, let's get to setting up our environment. If you look in the description, you'll see 3 download links. This is the Android SDK, it's android.zip. This is the IntelliJ installer. I use version 2016.3 just because it seems to be the most stable for me, but obviously that's a complete preference thing. And then the JDK version. It's JDK 8 and update 144. For me, I'm using Windows 64-bit. Okay, we're going to start off by installing the JDK. JDK is a Java development kit. It includes Java runtime and the tools you need to get going with basic Java programming. So once you've downloaded that, let's just double click on it, and it should take a minute. And there it pops up, and you just click yes to that, give it permission, and here's the installer. Let's get rid of that. Okay, basically you just go through the steps in the wizard. You want to install everything. You want the source code, public GRE, and development tools, and you can choose your location. By default, C program files Java is good enough. And we go yes. Okay, and we click next, and let it install. Alright, as we can see, the Java is now installed completely, and we can close the wizard. Alright, next step, we're going to unzip our android.zip Android SDK into our root directory, or the C directory. Not under program files, I just keep it plain and simple C Android. So for this zip folder, we're going to just go into it. You can copy the file, go into your C drive, wrong drive, and go into your C drive, and you can paste it here. This is the SDK for most of the basic Android stuff, but there are a few features that are left out, so if you want extra stuff you can download that all from the Android development website. I'll put a link in the description for that as well. And we can just wait for this to copy across. Okay, and once that's done we can take a look. Here's our Android folder in the C directory. Just take note of the path. And here are the various files that belong to the SDK. You don't need to know what any of these mean, they're really not important. All that's important is that your Android SDK was copied to C Android. Alright, now the next step is installing IntelliJ. So let's go back to the files we downloaded, install IntelliJ and then configure it. We'll get to that in a second, but for now let's just install it. So just double click on the installer, it should pop up with the there we go. And again the Windows notification. And we basically just go through the same steps here. Keep it simple, you don't really need to change too much. What's going on here? Okay, and then you can choose your various options. For me personally, I just associate it with .java and always create a 64-bit launcher, but that depends on your system. And now we wait for it to install. Alright, and depending on your system it could take a while, but for me it is about 2 or 3 minutes. Once the install is finished, basically we can go straight into IntelliJ and we can click Run IntelliJ IDEA and finish, and wait for it to launch. Okay, while it opens it normally takes a while, but that's just loading a default project I had, and I've obviously installed it before, so all of my projects are here. But for your first installation it should look something like this. Alright, before we get to creating a project or anything like that, we first need to set up our SDKs so IntelliJ knows what language we're going to be coding in, and it's got all the tools needed for that. So, if you remember, that's our Android SDK and our Java SDK. So, first things first, we need to install or configure and get our Java SDK set up. So, we're going to go configure, project defaults, project structure. This little menu will pop up, and we need to go, normally it should be no SDK, and we'll need to create a new one. So we click on new, JDK, and we just point it to the location we installed Java to. So in our Java installation, if you remember, it was program files Java JDK, and you just click on the folder once and click OK, and there we go. We've got Java 1.8, and we keep this on SDK default, and we just go apply and OK. Next, we need to configure our Android SDK. So configure, again, project defaults, project structure, and we need to go new and Android SDK. And now we need to go to the location we installed our Android SDK to, and that was C, Android, and there we go. And it's detected our SDK is version 25, which is good for all Android versions up to 7.0. So if you want to program anything 7.0 older, APR 25 is the best. And Java SDK 1.8, and there we go. Click OK, and it's detected it, which is good, and we go apply and OK. Okay, that's pretty much the end. Only one or two things left for now, and we can start with creating a sort of default project, and just so we can take a look at the structure in the next session, and add an emulator so we don't have to plug our phone in every time we want to test our changes. So new project, and we're going to click on Android, and it's just going to refresh quickly. This normally takes a couple of seconds. Okay, and then this window will pop up. For the sort of application name, you can make it something hello world, and your domain if you have one, or you can make whatever you really want there. And we don't need to include C++, and we just go next, and we're going to use phone and tablets and minimum SDK 15. So this means that all Android devices after 4.0.3 will be able to run the app, but not Android devices before that. Okay, and we can go next and add a empty activity. I'll get to what that all means later, and just click finish. Okay, normally this takes a few minutes for Gradle to build the project and for it to get set up, but once it's up, it's quite quick and easy. Okay, and as you can see, our project is opened in IntelliJ, and we've got the basic project structure here on the left. Don't worry about what any of this means for now. All we want to do is the final step, which is setting up an emulator. So we're going to go straight to our Run menu, and we're going to go to Run, and just choose App. And we need to create a virtual device. So we're going to go create new virtual device. Simple device for us, we'll just be using a Nexus 6. And we go next. Okay, don't worry about HAXM, that's just for accelerated debugging. We're not going to worry too much about that. Obviously, for our computer to emulate the phone, we need to download the operating system. So for us, we can use pretty much any of these. I just normally go for Nougat, which is Android 7. If you feel like trying Android 8, it's one of those, but I think we'll just keep it simple and go for the latest Nougat in x86 64, which is 64-bit, and we just download there. Okay, and we can just accept the license agreement. Obviously you can read through it, right? And we go next and wait for it to download. I think it's a few gigabytes if I remember correctly, so it should take a while. Alright, and when that's done, all that's left for us to do is just click finish, and our operating system image is here. We just select it and we click next, and there we go. We can give it a name like default phone or anything like that. I'll just keep it the same, nice and descriptive, and leave everything exactly like it is, and we just click finish. And there we go. Then when we deploy our app, we we just click that as our virtual device where we'll be debugging on, and we just click OK, and we just click OK. And after that our HAXM should have installed. I actually just skipped that whole dialog, so it gave me some problems, but nothing relevant to our video, so we can just carry on and click on our virtual device. It shows right there, and we click OK, and this normally takes a while for phone to start up. You can see it starting up over here, and as you can see our phone is now booted. This is the emulator, and IntelliJ is building the project, and it installed it on the phone, and here it is. Simple as that, guys. We can close this, and that's pretty much all there is to it. If you've got any questions, anything like that, just leave a comment in the section down below. I'll be glad to help what I can, and yeah, I hope this helps, and part 2 soon to follow.